Let's get ready to rumble!
Panthers. Today is Wednesday, April 19th. Already the middle of the week. Now let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Panthers, have you ever heard about Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution? Here's Guy to tell us more.
Thanks, Mohammed. Panthers, have you ever heard of the theory of evolution? This theory suggests that organisms change over time because of heritable traits from their parents. Charles Darwin was very famous for this theory. He boarded the HMS Beagle in 1831 when he was just 22 and collected many fossils from his trip. After he came back to England in 1836 and began to write down his observations, Darwin saw that species were similar around the globe and began to come up with the idea of natural selection. Darwin publicly announced the theory of evolution in 1858 and published the book all about his theory in 1859. Darwin died this day in 1882. We now greatly appreciate him for developing the theory so many of us know and love today. Check out this video about Darwin.
What is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution? Let us not get controversial, but simply stick to the facts about Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution. An English naturalist, Mr. Darwin definitely gave us all a lot to think about. Darwin's theory of evolution actually contains two major ideas. The first idea posed by Mr. Darwin theorized the idea that evolution occurs. In other words, organisms change over time, and life on Earth has changed as descendants diverged from common ancestors in the past. The second idea from Mr. Darwin is that evolution occurs by natural selection. Natural selection is the process in which living things with beneficial traits produce more offspring than others. This results in changes in the traits of living things over time. In Charles Darwin's day, the early 1800s, most people believed that all species were created at the same time and remained unchanged thereafter. They also believed that the Earth was merely 6,000 years old. Darwin's ideas revolutionized biology as we know it. How did Mr. Darwin come up with these important ideas? It all started when he went on a voyage. In 1831, when Darwin was just 22 years old, he set sail on a scientific expedition on a ship called the HMS Beagle. He was the naturalist on the voyage. As a naturalist, it was his job to observe and collect specimens of plants, animals, rocks, and fossils wherever the expedition went ashore. Darwin was fascinated by this nature, and his job on the Beagle was the most important time of his life. He spent over 3 years of the 5-year trip exploring nature on distant continents and islands. While he was away, a former teacher published Darwin's accounts of his observations. By the time Darwin finally returned to England, he had become famous as a naturalist. During the long voyage, Charles Darwin made many observations that helped him form his theory of evolution. Some of what he found included tropical rainforests and other new habitats where he saw many plants and animals he had never seen before. An earthquake that lifted the ocean floor 9 feet, 2.7 meters, above sea level. He also found rocks containing fossil seashells in mountains far above sea level. These observations suggested that continents and oceans had changed dramatically over time and continue to change dramatically. Rock ledges that had clearly once been beaches that had gradually built up over time. This suggested that slow, steady process also changed the surface of the Earth. Fossils of gigantic extinct mammals, such as the ground sloth. This was hard evidence that organisms looked very different in the past, as it suggested that living things, including the Earth's surface, change over time.
Thanks, Gabe. And now for some school announcements. Panthers, yesterday was the beginning of the next season of tennis after school. So come on out. But remember, there are no activity buses this week, so make sure that you have a ride home. Thursday is Family Market Day. Be sure to come out with your family and get lots of yummy things to eat. And remember, you can earn SSO hours if you help out. Did you know that this Friday is Parkland's Earth Day? Instead of wearing your green on Thursday, show your love for the earth by wearing green on Friday to celebrate Parkland's Earth Day. There will be a power period of fun to celebrate. Now let's head over to Guy, who has a very special message for us.
Thanks, Mohammed. Panthers, do you know who Eric Gersey is? No? Well, if you don't, you should. Eric Gersey is a 12th grade student at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and he is a student member of the Board of Education. That means that he represents us. Eric is an awesome student leader. He has held leadership positions with the Montgomery County Regional Student Government Association and the Maryland Association of Student Councils. Let's watch this video and hear Eric's message.
Hey everybody, I hope that you had a great spring break. You may not have known, but last week not only represented spring break, but was also National Assistant Principals Week. This is an important time of the year to spend a few minutes to thank all of the professionals in our building for what they do each and every day to support us. I will be celebrating next week at the annual Champions for Children event, where the 2017 MCPS Teacher of the Year will be announced. Also next week, the SMOB election will take place to decide who will represent you next year. I look forward to joining you in this annual process to determine the next student advocate on the Board of Education. And of course, I encourage you to learn about our two candidates and to get out there and vote. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Eric. And thank you, Vice Principal Rutter. We appreciate you and all the administrators at Parkland. Now let's wish these Panthers a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Oh yeah, happy birthday to you. Hippo. Happy birthday to
Panthers, we are officially in the middle of the week. Remember these words from Coco Chanel. Beauty begins with the moment you decide to yourself. Be yourself today, Panthers. If it is the best person you can be.
Have a great day and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.